Exercise 4.13. Red Store sells goods for cash and on credit. Their credit terms are 60 days, and it is expected that 90% of debtors will adhere to these terms. Required. 4.13.1. Calculate the correct balance of the debtors control account on 30 April. 4.13.2. Prepare the correct debtors list on 30 April. Show calculations in brackets. 4.13.3. Refer to information 1 and 2 below. Does Red Stores have good control over debtors? Explain by providing amounts. Then I'm giving you additional information. I'm giving you your debtors age analysis. How many debtors have accounts that are 90 days old, 60 days old, 30 days old, and their current accounts, which is less than a month. Then I'm giving you your debtors list with all your different debtors. There are 5, and the amounts that they are owing, as well as their credit limits. The debtors control account on 30 April shows a balance of 246770 before the errors below were considered. So we are now going to consider the errors, number 4A to 4F, but as I read it individually, we are going to fix them on our answer sheet on the next page, because we have to fix the control account as well as the list. The first question is to calculate the correct balance of the debtors control account. So if you go to your debtors control account, we are going to start with an opening balance of 246770 given to us under additional information number 3. So I've done a rough calculation, so I'm going to start with my opening balance of 246770. Then if I read my additional information number 4, 4A says the revenue column in the debtors journal was summed by 4670 too much. So I now know my debtors control account will have to then be reduced by that revenue. So I'm going to minus 4670. Then B, inventory sold on credit to Alberta for 12,000 Rand was incorrectly posted to the personal account of M. Stewart. So since we've read that, let's just quickly go to the list and go fix that. So Alberta, we are going to add 12,000. And Stewart, we're going to subtract 12,000. Now we have fixed that error. It will only be the debtors list that needs to be fixed, because it was only the personal accounts that had the errors. 4C, return of goods by M. Smith, 2,300 Rand, was posted to the wrong side of his account. So now we're going to go to the debtors list under Smith. It will involve a calculation. We're going to say 2,300 Rand plus 2,300 Rand, which gives us 4,600. So Smith's balance of 72,000 Rand is going to be reduced by 4,600 because of this error. Again, it was just Smith that had the error, so it will not have an effect on the control account. Then number D. An invoice issued to A. Lotrit for 3,000 Rand was not recorded in the books. Now, since this was not recorded in the books, we have to fix the control account as well as the list. So in the control account, we're going to add 3,000 Rand because it's an credit invoice that was not recorded yet. So our balance must increase. And then we're also going to go to the individual debtor, which is Lotrit, and we are going to add 3,000 Rand to his balance. Number E. An electronic bank transfer of 4,600 Rand was made by W. Pienaar as settlement of his debt of 5,000 Rand. No entry has been made. So because no entry has been recorded, we have to fix the control account as well as the list. So in the debtors control account, we're going to subtract 5,000 Rand. W. Pienaar made a payment towards his debt. So our debtors control ledger account will be decreased by that payment. But then we're also going to go to his individual list, W. Pienaar, and we are going to subtract 5,000 Rand from his balance because he made a payment of 5,000, so he owes us 5,000 Rand less. Then number F, goods sold on credit to M. Stewart, 5,200 Rand, was correctly recorded in the debtor's journal. Okay, so in other words, no error took place in the control account, but it was posted as 2,500 Rand to his account in the debtor's ledger. So now we've got to do a calculation first. So we're going to go to Stewart. We're going to say 5,200 minus 2,500 is a difference of 2,700. So we are going to add 2,700 to his list because it's credit sales that took place on his account, so his account must go up with that credit sale of 2,700. Now we've recorded all the errors and omissions from 4A to 4F, so now we can just simply add up our debtors control balance and then see if it will add up to the total. So if you go to 4.13.1, we started with an opening balance of 246,770, then we subtracted 4670, which was the revenue correction, number A. Then we added 3,000 Rand, which was the credit invoice that was not recorded, and that was number D. And then we subtracted 5,000 Rand, which was the debtor Pino, who made an EFT payment towards his debt, and that we got at number E. So then our new debtors control balance is 240,100. Now that is the same answer that we must get as the total for our list in 4.13.2. So let's see, after we've taken these adjustments into account, if we now get to 240,100. Botha started with 46,000, then we had to add another 12,000, so Botha is now 58,000. Lotric started on 42,000, we had to add 3,000, so Lotric now owes us 45,000. Pino had a balance of 8,000, then we subtracted 5,000 for the payment that he made, so now Pino's balance is 3,000. Smith started with 72,000, then we deducted 2,300 Rand twice because of that error. So Smith's balance is now 67,400, and then our last debtor, Stewart, started with 76,000, then we subtracted 12,000, and we added 2,700, so his end balance is now 66,700. If you add all of these amounts together, you then get 240,100, which is the same as our debtors control ledger account, so our debtors reconciliation process is in balance. Then the last question, refer to information 1 and 2. Does Red Stores have good control over debtors? Explain by providing amounts. Now they're specifically asking you to go to information 1 and 2. Information 1 is your debtors age analysis, and information 2 gives us more information about each debtor concerning what they owe and what their credit limits are. So you're going to use that in your answer. So first of all, you're going to say yes, there is good control over debtors. Now the reason why I'm saying yes is the terms right at the top said our terms are 60 days and 90% of the debtors abide by these terms. So to see if it's true, we're going to take our age analysis of debtors up to 60 days. So you're going to add up your current debtors, your 30 days debtors, and your 60 days debtors, which is 173,480 plus 38,000 plus 13,000, and that gives you 224,480. If you put that in a ratio and you divide that by 244,000, which is your total age analysis, you get a percentage of 92%. So yes, we are having good control over our debtors. And another reason you can also mention is not one debtor has gone over their credit limit. Exercise 4.14. On 31 July 2025, You are provided with the account of Blitz Stores in the creditors ledger of Bull Traders, as well as the account statement received from Blitz Stores. The creditors recon statement on 30 June for the previous month is also provided. Required 4.14.1, correct the errors made by Bull Traders by making entries directly in the personal account of Blitz Stores in the creditors ledger. 4.14.2, prepare the creditors recon statement with Blitz Stores on 31 July 2025. So you've been given additional information 1, last month's creditors reconciliation statement, and then you've also been given an account statement of Bull Traders received from Blitz Stores. And on the next page, you've also been given an extract of your creditors ledger of Bull Traders. What I'm going to do for teaching purposes on the next slide, I'm going to put all three of these extracts next to each other so that we can reconcile what was put in and what was not, and what errors were made at number 3, and then rectified and according to the correct answer sheet, either in the creditors ledger or the account statement, or maybe both. So on one page, the next slide, I have now merged all the three supporting documentation that was given to us: our creditors reconciliation of the previous month, our statement with Blitz Stores personal statement, as well as the creditors ledger of Blitz Stores. We are now going to compare these three documents and see comparisons of last month if it was rectified, and then we're going to read our errors and differences at adjustment number 3 or information number 3 to see where we now need to go fix it. Must we fix it in the recon statement or in the creditors ledger, or maybe both? So the first thing I'd like to do is I'd like to take my previous month's reconciliation statement, and I'm going to compare it to my Blitz Stores account statement. I'm going to compare this one, the top one, to the number 1 to number 2. So I've got a debit of 19,900, and I also see it had the same balance, 19,900. So I'm going to take blue, and I'm going to highlight that in blue, that we can tick it off. Then the next one, I see a credit note 34 too much, 6480. I'm not seeing 6480 in my account statement of Bull Traders, and I'm also not seeing 6480 in the creditors ledger. And I'm also, if I quickly scan through the differences, they're talking about invoice 605, debit note 96, a discount and interest, also nothing about 6480. So I'm going to use yellow. That means it needs to go to my account statement, my creditors reconciliation statement for July. Then I'm seeing an entry of a debit note 600 after account statement date 4220. If I go to my account statement, I see it is now in, so I can tick that off, 4220. Then if I go to the credit side of my creditors reconciliation statement of last month, I've got a credit discount admitted of 700, and I see that they have rectified that, so I can tick it off. And then I see I had a credit balance according to creditors ledger of 29,900, and yes, I did start with a balance of 29,900, so I can tick that off. Now I'm going to compare the rest of my account statement to my creditors ledger, also taking into account number 3 with all the errors and differences. So the next entry on my account statement is on the 8th, sales invoice 605 for 8,500 Rand. If I go to my errors and differences, the first one says invoice 605 renumbered 101 was correctly recorded in the creditors ledger. So that means this has to be fixed. I'm going to take the difference of 8,500 minus 5,800, which is 2,700 Rand, and I'm going to enter that into my creditors reconciliation statement. So all for now, just take your blue, yellow, I'm taking my yellow highlighter, and just go highlight 8,500, invoice 605 on the 8th. That is going to involve that's going to have an entry on our answer sheet on the next page. And because it was renumbered 101, also on the creditors ledger, go highlight 5,800, also the date of the 8th, invoice 101 renumbered. That was invoice 605, we just renumbered it as 101. Then the next entry is a credit note 42 for 4,100 Rand. Are they giving us any information about this 4,100 Rand? Credit note 42. I'm not seeing anything yet, so let's just go highlight that in yellow, meaning we have to go check up on that. Okay, then the next entry is a receipt 1,600 Rand. Yes, EFT 202 is received, so I can go make that blue, so it's just a tick tick. This 16 is there, this 16 is there. But do you see that on the creditors ledger there is a discount? If I read the last bulletin under number 3, they're going to give me more information about this discount. So for now, just take yellow and highlight that we still have to do something with this discount received on the 18th. Okay, then I've got a credit sales invoice 612 for 9,200 Rand in my account, and it's also in my creditors ledger 9,200 Rand, so I can just tick that off. Then if I also go to my account statement, I now have an entry on the 25th for 850 Rand. I've got additional information on that at number 3, so let's just go circle that in yellow. We will refer to that now and enter the error where it needs to get fixed. And then also if I go to my creditors ledger, the last entry is a debit note 99 of 2,200 on the 28th. Let's just circle that in yellow. That's also going to go to our creditors reconciliation statement. So now we've compared similarities and differences using 2 different colors. Errors of last month that was fixed now, I ticked off in blue, and errors that still needs to be fixed because of adjustment number 3, I ticked off in yellow. Before you page to your answer sheet, let's just quickly highlight the balances we need that we're going to enter in our creditors ledger, the provisional incorrect balance, as well as the balance according to account statement in our creditors reconciliation statement. Under additional information number 2, which is your account statement of bull traders, go highlight 36270. I'm going to highlight mine in green. That is the balance that you are going to enter into your creditors reconciliation statement. You will say debit balance according to account statement. Can you see it's in the debit column? And then if you go to additional information number 4, highlight the 45,000. That is the balance that you are going to put as your incorrect balance on your creditors ledger, 45,000. Now as you turn to your answer sheet, you should have already recorded your 2 balances. In the creditors ledger, your incorrect balance of 45,000, and in your creditors reconciliation statement, it was a debit balance according to account statement 36270. Let's refer back to the errors and differences, number 3, and go fix them. The first one says, invoice 605 renumbered 101 was correctly recorded in the creditors ledger. So under our creditors reconciliation statement, we are going to say credit faulty invoice, number 605. In brackets, we are going to say 8,500 minus 5,800, and that difference is 2,700 Rand. That will come to the credit column. Then the second error, debit note 96 was incorrectly recorded in the creditor's ledger. Okay, so if it was incorrectly recorded in the creditor's ledger, we're going to say debit note 96 faulty in our creditor's ledger. That will be a general journal transaction. 8,200 in the debit column. And now our balance is slightly less, 36,800. Okay, the next error. The discount on 18 July was not approved by Blitz stores and must be cancelled. So we are going to go to our creditor's ledger and we're going to say discount cancelled. It's also a general journal transaction. 200 Rand in the credit column. And now our balance is 37,000. If you're not sure where I got the 200 Rand from, you will just go back to your additional information number 4. It was on the 18th. There was an EFT. 202 was for the payment, and then there's another EFT 202 discount received. That discount received of 200 Rand has now been cancelled. The next error is the interest amount levied by Blitz stores is too much. The correct amount is 580. This will be corrected on the account statement of the following month. So in our creditor's ledger, we're going to say interest on overdue account. It's also a general journal transaction. They told us the correct amount is 580 Rand in the credit column. So now we end with a balance 37,580. I'm highlighting that in blue because that is the balance that we need to take to our creditor's reconciliation statement. You are going to say it is a credit balance according to my creditor's ledger, 37,580 in the credit column. So as soon as you have calculated that balance, go transfer it into your creditor's reconciliation statement. But then we also have to go fix that discount that we charged too much in our creditor's reconciliation statement to remind the bank. So we're going to say credit interest too much. In brackets, you're going to say 850 minus 580 Rand. And that gives you 270 Rand in the credit column. The last step is to go back to your last month's creditor's reconciliation statement as well as the extract of your creditor's ledger given so that we can go record the entries that was entered after we have already issued the statement. So it will normally be the entries on the 29th and 30th, the last few days of the month. So if you go to your creditor's reconciliation statement under additional information number 1, there's a debit credit note 34 too much that we have still not done. So in our creditor's reconciliation statement, you're going to say debit faulty credit note 34. And in the debit column, you're going to say 6480. Sorry, when I opened my answer sheet, it says debit balance according to account statement 36270, but I accidentally put it on the credit side, so I'm just fixing that. That 36270 opening balance must be in the debit column. So just fix that if you also accidentally made the same error as I did. It was a debit balance according to account statement 36270. You can confirm that if you go to your account statement additional information number 2, 36270 is definitely in the debit column. Then if you go to additional information number 4 under your creditor's ledger, there's also one entry on the 28th, debit note 99 for 2,200 Rand. So you're going to say credit debit note 99 after account statement date, and in the credit column, you're going to put 2,200 Rand. Now we've recorded all the transactions, so let's see if our debit and credit balances balance up. If we add up our debit side, so if we say 36270 plus 6480, we get a total of 42750. And if we add up our credit side, 2,700 plus 270 plus 2,200 plus 37580, we also get a total of 42750. So our credit reconciliation process was effective. It is now in balance. Exercise 4.15. You are provided with the account of White Stores and the creditors ledger of Grant Traders, as well as the account statement of Grant Traders with White Stores. Required 4.15.1. Correct the errors that were made by Grant Traders by making additional entries in the personal account of White Stores in the creditors ledger. And 4.15.2, prepare the creditors reconciliation statement with White Stores on 30 June 2025. Additional information, you have received the account of White Stores in the general ledger of Grant Traders, creditors ledger, White Stores is creditor 22. And then you have also received the account statement of Grant Traders received from White Stores. And then there's errors that was made in the creditors ledger, and there was errors that was made by White Stores on the account statement that needs to get fixed. So the first thing that I like to go do is put my balance according to my account statement in my creditors reconciliation statement. And if you have a look at additional information number 2, the balance on the debit side is 19,000. So this is the balance that we are going to take to our creditors reconciliation statement. So I'm just highlighting it in green for you as our balance according to our account statement, and you can see it's in the debit column, so it's a debit balance. And then sometimes they give it to you, sometimes they don't, but also just so that you know, this 17,000 would have been the incorrect balance that you would have started with in your creditors ledger if you had to complete the entire creditors ledger. But in this instance, we only have to do the last few entries, so the opening balance is already included in your answer sheet. So now go turn to your answer sheet on the next page. So if you go to the bottom of your answer sheet, you've been given a creditors ledger to complete, and you've been given a creditors reconciliation statement on 30 June to complete. Just so that you know, in green is the two balances that I've just discussed previously, already entered onto your answer sheet. Now let's read the first error. In additional information number 3, the first error says, errors were made by the bookkeeper of Grant Traders in the creditors ledger. CPI 67, dated on the 8th of June, was subject to 5% trade discount. So if we go to the 8th of June, on our creditors ledger given to us under additional information number 1, we see that that purchase was for 12,000. So it's going to involve a calculation. We're going to say 12,000 times 5% gives me 600 Rand. So I have forgot to record that 600 Rand discount. So on the 30th, in my creditors ledger, the date will be the 30th. I'm going to say invoice 67 corrected, discount granted. It is a general journal transaction. And in the debit column, I will enter 600 Rand. And in red, I've just showed you how I got to the 600. It's taking your full credit purchase of 12,000 times 5%. So we forgot to enter that 600 Rand discount granted. Then the next error that was made, given to us on the 3rd, well, not on the 3rd, at information number 3, CPI 95 dated 25 June was incorrectly recorded. So if you go to 25 June, you will see that CPI 95 is for an amount of 4320. That was a mistake. So we have to go fix that in our creditors ledger. So we're going to say invoice 95 corrected. Do you see just on the 25th we've got 95,4320. It never should have been there. So now our calculation will be 4320 times 2. The first 4320 is crediting it to cancel it, and then the other 4320 is to go enter it to fix the error. So 4320 plus 4320 gives us an amount of 8640 in the credit column. It is a general journal transaction. And now our balance is 22,540. I forgot to enter the balance now when we did the discount. We had a balance of 14,500, but then we must subtract 600 Rand discount granted, so our balance was then 13,900. Then with the next error, it was invoice 95 corrected. It's a general journal transaction. In the credit column, I've got 8640. That's 4320 times 2, and now my balance is 22,540. Let's go read the errors under information number 4. Errors made by White Stores on the account statement. Credit note 34 of 10 June appears correctly in the creditor's ledger. So, if it appears correctly in the creditor's ledger, then it means nothing, no error took place in my ledger. So I've got to go fix it in my creditor's reconciliation statement. So we are going to say credit faulty credit note 34 is our details. In brackets, we're going to say 7,600 minus 6,700, which gives us a difference of 900 Rand in the credit column. If you don't know where I got the amounts from, just go up to the dates. They told you the date is on the 10th. So on the 10th, if you go to your creditors ledger, it is 7,600. But if you go to the 10th on the statement given to Grant Traders, which is White Stores personal statement, it was 6,700 Rand. Now the difference is the error that we have to notify to be fixed of 900. Then the last entry of the 4th, White Stores forgot to record the discount on the 18th. So we are going to say credit the discount omitted in our creditors reconciliation statement. If you're not sure where I'm getting the amount, if you go to the creditors ledger on the 18th, it says EFT 112, discount received 1080. So that is where I get the answer of 1080 in the credit column. Okay, now we have entered all the errors and omissions. The last step we need to take into account is the entries closer to the end of the month that we maybe did not record because the statement was received before the end of date, before the end of the month. So if you go to your creditors ledger of Grant Traders under additional information 1, on the 28th, there's an entry of 6420 that was not entered, so we're going to have to enter that into our creditors reconciliation statement. You're going to say debit invoice 101 after account statement date. $6420 in the debit column. Okay, and then also if you go to your account statement of Grant Traders, which is additional information number 2, you will see that there is interest levied on overdue account of 900. So that will go to your creditors ledger. You're going to say interest is charged. It's a general journal transaction, 900 Rand in the credit column. So the balance now at the end of the month is 23,440. That is the last entry. So this is now the balance that we will take to our creditors reconciliation statement. It is a credit balance according to our creditors ledger, and in the credit column we're going to say 23,440. I'm just transferring the balance from the top to my creditors reconciliation statement. Now that we have fixed up all the errors and we have entered all the transactions after our account statement date, we can now go add up the debit column of our creditors reconciliation statement. If we add 19,000 plus 6,420, we get a total of 25,420. If we add our credit column, which is 900 plus 1080 plus our balance of 23,440, we also get a total of 25,420. So our creditors reconciliation process that we have just followed is reconning. In other words, it is in balance.